All right, let's move on to problem number 6. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do my 2 pods. My factors of 2 are 1 and 2. My factors of 22 are 1 and 22, and 2 and 11. So I'm going to come in 1x, 2x. I see that this is plus, so to get a plus, positive, you either have 2 positives or 2 negatives, and this tells me it's 2 positives. So a plus, plus. And then I'm going to come in and put my 2 and my 11 in. Test the insides, that gives me 4x. Test my outsides, and that gives me 11x. Sum that up, and that gives me 15x, which is not what I want. That's not 7x. So I'm going to come in and try the other combination. So I'm going to put 11 first. So let's try 11 and 2. So 11 times 2x gives me 22x. And 1 times 2 gives me 2x. I sum those up, and that gives me 24x, which is not 7x. So I have to try again. So that I've done both combinations of 2 and 11 and 2. So now I'm going to try 1 and 22. So 1 times 2 is 2, and then 1 times 22 is 22. When I sum those up, that gives me 24, which is not my 7. So now I have to try again. I'm going to replace that 1 with a 22, and this with 1. So I come in to 22 times 2x gives me 44x, and then x times 1x times 1 gives me 1x, and I sum that up, and that's 45. Okay, I did that combination. I have no more combinations. If I had more possibilities over here, I would then have to start again. So let's try those. So with that in mind, this can happen, and the problem can be prime. Okay, so it's prime. It cannot be factored, therefore it makes it a prime problem. Okay. Right, remember in the last section, we talked about factoring out the greatest common factor. So that's the first thing you do with factoring, is factor out the greatest common factor. Okay, well, you actually, I lie. You want first descending order. 2, then you want to factor out the GCF, the greatest common factor, and then you go into those 2 little sets of parentheses, potting it up. Here, do I have a greatest common factor? And the answer is yes, I have a 2 in common with all these. So that's going to give me 2, and that's going to leave me with 3x squared minus 14x plus 8, parentheses. So I just carry that 2 down, and then I'm going to check this. What are my factors of 3? Well, I have 1 and 3. What are my factors of 8? I have 1 and 8, and 2 and 4. So I'm going to come in, put my 1x, my 3x. This is a plus, so it either means 2 positives, 2 pluses, or 2 minuses. And we come over here, and that says minus, minus. So I'm going to come in, put my minus and minus, and then I'm going to put my 2 and my 4 in. So I'm going to test that inside. That gives me 6x, and I'm going to test the outside. That gives me a negative 6x. That gives me a negative 4x. Okay, I sum that up, and that doesn't give me this negative 10x. Do not go to this 28, because you already factored out that 2. You're going to that 14. That's what I'm looking for. So that didn't work. So let's try the 2 and the 4 the other way around. So that gives me a 4 and a 2. 4 times 3 is negative 12. And 1x times 2 gives me a negative 2x. So negative 12 plus negative 2 gives me my negative 14. So this here would be the answer you need to put into Math Excel. Do not forget to carry that GCF all the way down. It is part of the original equation. All right, moving forward. All right, so am I in descending order? Yes. Do I have a greatest common factor? Ooh, yes. So then I've got 2x squared minus 9x plus 10. Okay. Now let's see if I can factor this. So I have an x and an x. Don't forget to bring that 2 down. I'm really bad. My factors of 10 are 1 and 10, 2 and 5. So what's the signs? Well, this is a plus, so that means they're going to be the same. And this tells us they're going to be minus, 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 minus. Throw in 2 and 5. I'm going to test the insides, which gives me 2x, and I'm going to test my negative and negative 5x. That sums up to negative 7x, which is not what we want. Okay, normally in this section you would switch those around, but because the x values have the same value, it will not matter. They're both 1, so it will not change this outcome. So 2 and 5 are out. So let's try 1 and 10. So negative 1 times x gives me negative 1x, and x times negative 10 gives me negative 10x. All right, so I am going to sum this up, and that gives me negative 11x, which is not my negative 9x. Okay, so some of you are going to go and click, this is prime. The answer is it's not prime. You factored out the greatest common factor, x squared minus 9x plus 10. That does not make it prime. It just means that this here is the solution set. X squared minus 9x plus 10 is prime, but 2x squared minus 18x plus 20 is not prime. So if you can factor out the greatest common factor, that does mean the problem is not prime. So don't forget that. That will be tested. That is something we would definitely trick you with on a test. So please pay attention to that. That's the end of section 6.3. So email me or ask me questions in class.